I am not intimidated by your shouting. A true warrior fights not with words, but with...
This is Samurai Jack. Most of you guys know this already because of the show's popularity, but there's something unusual about it. When you think of modern media, dialogue seems mandatory. In Samurai Jack, the rules are different. It doesn't talk much, it doesn't explain everything. Let's go back to the very first episode. Jack is sent into the future. There are nearly 5 minutes straight without a single word. It's all about the environment. Jack's confused and we can feel his sense of displacement. The silence lets us, the audience, sit with the discomfort with Jack. This approach makes this series one of the most compelling and stylish stories I've ever seen to date. So today, let's talk about how Samurai Jack works with less. If dialogue is not your focal point, a lot of the time you have to fill in the blank with something else. And Samurai Jack chose the visuals, and they nail it. Backgrounds suddenly change, showing the color red to emphasize rage, or the camera will hold wide shots showing Jack about to face an entire army, letting the atmosphere talk for itself. Speaking of atmosphere, the lack of dialogue forces us, the audience, to slow down and pay attention to what is happening. Jack doesn't need to say he's tired, and all of his motions, from how he slouches, the slow breathing, and how he hesitates to fight. In the episode, The Three Blind Archers, we don't need narration. The audience can see the struggle Jack is going through by his actions, timing, and movement. I'm fairly certain this episode only has dialogue at the beginning and the end. The middle segment of the episode is silent. Up to this point in the story, this is one of Jack's hardest tests yet, and without a single use of dialogue, I felt that. We don't even hear Jack's inner monologue that often. Instead, we watch Jack walk alone, eyes focused as he tries to navigate through the evil world Aku made. The animation style is minimalist, but that has to be intentional. The series does not have overly detailed textures or flashy effects. The show uses a lot of clean lines, big silhouettes, and bold colors. This is done for a reason. It's to keep us, the audience, focused on what matters. Samurai Jack is inspired by samurai cinema and minimalist Japanese art. The series feels like a painting to me. Backgrounds are often empty or abstract, which let Jack and anyone else in the scene stand out a lot. The art style mirrors Jack and Aku. The more empty backgrounds feel like Aku, an empty void, but the way it is drawn reminds me of Jack. The drawings feel calm and focused. Samurai Jack is also famous, or depending on who you are, infamous for its slow pacing. In my opinion, it helps the series a lot. I'll get to that in a second. In modern animation, a lot of it has quick cuts and constant stimulation for the viewers. In Samurai Jack's case, it's the opposite. The slowness is intentional and essential to the story. The show often builds up on a single emotion in a scene. For example, there's an episode called Jack and the Monks. Jack spends nearly 10 minutes climbing a mountain in near silence. Yes, the goal is to get to the top of the mountain, but it's more about the journey. It's about the struggle, the breath, and the focus. The slow pacing of the scene mirrors the internal climb and the mental discipline required to keep going. By not rushing this scene, Samurai Jack gives the audience time to feel what Jack is feeling with every small detail, with no dialogue. Now, let's talk about the sound design in Samurai Jack. Most of the time, sound in Samurai Jack is never just background noise. It's precise and deliberate. When Jack goes to a new environment, we can tell first by the sound effects. Water dripping in caves, bugs in forests, the buzz from the futuristic city. Sound is essential to exploring this world. We can't talk about the sound effects without the music. They work hand in hand. Composer James L. Venable mixes traditional Japanese instruments, modern synths, and drums. You know how I said the sound effects and music work together? The music usually reacts to the sound effects, and it plays when it's appropriate for the scene. A single note will play after a sword slash to emphasize it, building up the action. When dialogue is rare, everything else becomes more important, and Samurai Jack takes full advantage of that. Let's talk about Jack's character. Jack might be a man of few words, but he is nowhere near emotionless. We learn who Jack is entirely through his actions. Jack helps the weak without hesitation. He is stoic, and he keeps his word even if it costs him something. The perfect example for this is the episode named Jack's Tale. The episode is about Jack finding a fairy who is able to grant any wish. He finds the fairy, but she is captured by this gargoyle. Jack gets put in a predicament though. His hand gets caught in this unbreakable barrier and he is stuck with this fairy. He has to sneak and take the key from the gargoyle while it sleeps. The whole scene is in pure silence and you can feel the tension. Long story short, Jack defeats the gargoyle, but the gargoyle had to say the password out loud to set them free. Instead of being selfish and wishing to be free by himself or being sent back to the past, he wishes for the fairy to be free, a selfless act. Jack never says why, he just does it. That moment tells you more about Jack's values than any monologue ever. This is what makes him heroic. No flashy speeches, but quiet, consistent choices that show you who he is. This is the last thing that I want to talk about, and it's how the show trusts the audience, which makes sense since the show came out for teenagers and young adults. The show assumes that we are smart and that we are paying attention. Like I said before, the show forces you to pay attention in a lot of situations. That's why it doesn't over-explain its world, or its characters, or its themes. When I watch the show, I feel, interpret, and think about it. Nothing is too complicated in the series. A lot of shows tell you what to think, but Samurai Jack invites you to decide for yourself. This works because of the silence. The silence is a space for reflection. In the end, Samurai Jack isn't just a series about a wandering samurai trying to get back home. Instead, it's a masterclass in less is more. It leans into silence and patience. It speaks through visuals, through sounds, and actions. That's why this series is a classic. It's a quiet, minimalist glory. Samurai Jack says more than most shows can ever say. But let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to check out these 2 videos that pop up on the screen, and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.